Welkom bij weer een uitzending van Eemland on the Move. We doen een review van het seizoen met niemand anders dan Mitch Mcgahan, de head coach.
Back again in the hot seat.
Yeah,
Been a while.
indeed. You love it here. You love it.
Of course, mate. More quality time with you.
There you go. So, am I going to be a bitch? No, I'm not. Challenging season, I would think. There's lots of things happened in many different ways. I would say. First thing, we had the discussion already, obviously off camera, is the massive amount of injuries. Mm-hmm. But and again, we come back to the setup of the competition that also, because it's not just us. We have some severe ones, but it's all over the place, right?
No, yeah, I think it's one of those things that when it's your turn to be rinsed with injuries, it's your turn, and when it rains, it pours, and it certainly poured here this year as far as the injuries go. That being said, if you'd said to me at the start of the year, listen, you're going to lose the majority of your senior players for some length of time, and particularly in the spine of the team, but you would still make the top four, I would have shook your hand and bitten your hand off to take that. Yeah. We did manage to obviously make the top four. But yeah, the injuries in the end did take its toll. And I think I said just after the recommencement of the season, it wouldn't necessarily be the best team or the most dominant team that would win. Potentially, it would be the team that could field and hold the majority of their squad on the pitch and remain fit for the run in. And I think that was definitely the case.
Well, that's the funny part. If I now look at who's become champions again, but nevertheless, if you look at the competition, it's almost, it feels like a certain. If you become number one in the competition, you're not going to win the championship.
Well, yeah, that's been the case for 3 years, hasn't it? We found out, Rotterdam found out, and now the Dukes have fallen afoul of it. Yeah. So, look, I maybe that's the beauty of finals rugby. I mean, in a traditional league format that certainly is the case in the UK. Yeah. If you are deemed to be the best side and the most dominant side with the most points accumulated at the end of the regular season, and you are crowned champions. Mm-hmm. We've obviously moved away from that, and it's always I wouldn't say move away. We've expanded the final series from being the top two playing each other in the final to now having the semi-finals as well. But again, it brings added pressure, and it sets the players up and sets the competition up to be a little bit more challenging and add that different dimension at the back end of the season. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's always interesting. I think, like I said, we found out a few years ago that's more who puts the best run together. And again, I think if you look at the Hague's form, I don't think they lost the game until since before Christmas. No. So, and they did have, like us, because of the cancelled games or the postponed games, I should say, had to play 11 on the spin to win it. So, hats off to them and the job that Hadley's done there with his players and supported by the club. They've done a wonderful job. I mean, 4 finals on the trot. 4 home semi-finals and 2 back-to-back championships is not it's not an easy task, and it's taken a special coach and a special group of players and support staff along behind them to do it, and I can only offer them my congratulations and the wonderful job that they've done.
Yeah, he's off now, right?
He is. It's it's a loss for Dutch rugby. He's had such an impact in his time here with being involved with the men's team in the Delta setup as well as the Hague. Off to a new adventure in France. So yeah, certainly a loss.
And what is he going to do in France?
I'm not 100% sure. It's all been announced. But yeah, I believe him and his partner are moving out there. I think he's got a job lined up in rugby. Cool. She's also got a job lined up. So, all the best to them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and coming to that, you're mentioning Delta. You've been a bit busy this year, haven't you?
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah.
Be an understatement. Brings its own challenges. Of course, trying to play that balancing act, with the various roles they've taken on. And obviously, as well, for the club in general, more and more we're seeing our players being picked up for national selections, whether it be 18s, 20s, obviously with us having a major stake in Delta, in the new format, obviously a lot of our players been involved there, but then also probably for the first time, many involved in the wider national team squad with the men. So very, very busy in that rec period with guys coming and going and here, there, and everywhere. So definitely new ground for the club, new challenges or new things that we have to get used to, because I dare say that that's going to be the norm for us moving forward, is seeing a lot of our players being involved in these teams.
True. That's for sure. So in the selection process for coming year, that's something that we're gonna take into account, right? That we have to deal with that. But what about you personally? Because you've got 3 tasks, or coming year again, or
we have to. Yeah, I mean, we have to wait and see how things are going. Obviously, we're waiting on confirmation with a lot of things with Rugby Europe, Rugby Netherlands on how things will go. But listen, the one thing I do know is that I will be here, and working hard and striving to continue to build on the success that we're having across, not only within the first team, but across the club in general. That was one of the things that was important to me, is that we make sure that we have continued success and we're consistent. I think you're starting to see that now. Yes, you can have ups and downs within a season. But the league table doesn't lie, and if you're in and around that mix, we've got to continue to do that and continue to push to be a top 4 team first and foremost if we want to have any chance of winning the thing. No,
that makes sense. That's true. So for next year, the one thing that is confirmed is, I think you're going to stay the backs coach for national
men's,
team, for the men's. Is the under 20s, that's not confirmed yet?
Not 100% confirmed. Obviously, working in that role. Currently building things on Monday nights with and looking over the pathway with my role as well. So be busy with that over the coming weeks. Now that kind of club rugby's finished for the year, being busy with that, and then we've just got to, like I said, we've got to see what comes down the pipeline from the powers that be, and the decisions that need to be made.
And Delta, is that
again? I believe we're going ahead. There's all sorts of rumours flying around with different competitions and things like that.
Well, but going ahead. But I'm more interested in your role, because I thought the setup was like there was a rotating agreement, right?
Yeah,
you don't know.
I'm not 100%. There was also obviously talks.
But let's say for instance, then for my interest, you do all 3 again.
Yeah.
How are you going to manage that differently this coming year than this year?
I think with Delta, it came as a little bit late. So if there's confirmation early, that means proper planning can go in when it's sprung in your kind of lastminute.com. It becomes difficult to put plans in place to make sure that things can continue whilst you're busy with other commitments. I think that's the most important thing, is for whether it's myself or I'm sure for all the other clubs that are involved that are losing staff or losing players, is that we have notification early so that we can make appropriate plans in that time, because I think that was probably the biggest challenge that we saw was the nature of the beast and it coming so low.
In general, you see, right, when the headmaster is off, the focus is not as much as it would be if he would be around, right? So how is that?
I think I don't think that's. I think even in that time, if you have a look at the games that we played during the time when Delta was on, I think the only game we lost in that time was away to Dukes, who were obviously in a slightly different position and place to where we were, and we'd already suffered a number of injuries. Then to have a number of players involved with Delta that weekend, I think we were a little bit undercooked and a little bit light. But in the other games when when dual responsibilities or dual commitments needed to take place, the club performed, the team performed with aplomb, with some very good victories in that time. So again, there's all sorts of uncertainties, confirmation of when the season is going to be taking place. Is there going to be the January stop or the winter stop again, or are we going to play through? Listen, nothing's for certain. I think hopefully in the coming weeks we can get some clarity on that. And like I said, the more time clubs and people have to
time
prepare
to
and
plan, and
it becomes a little bit easier.
True. So what is your biggest learning curve been this season? What you said? Okay, this is something that I didn't encounter or dealt with before.
No, I think the challenge has been probably, as we've spoken about numerous times over the last few years, is that we're getting younger and younger, and by nature of injuries, we became younger and probably more inexperienced than we ever have been this year.
Yeah, I think we put on the youngest team ever.
I dare say
the
so.
last phase was a Future Plus team, more or less.
Yeah, I think there was a photo taken of both teams before Christmas and the last game before Christmas, and if you had a look at that, both teams changed drastically, and a lot of those that were in the future team picture ended up starting our semi-final and playing big minutes in the back end of the season. And our future team were pumped up by some really good Colts that came up and finished the year strongly with us. So I think it's I think the big thing that we're probably going to see is definitely a change in playing style over the coming years. I think, if you look at Eemland and the side that won the competition a few years ago, it was very forwards dominant. And I think over the last couple of years, we've been similarly, or should I say, we've been of a similar ilk. And I think that was probably the plan. If you had a look at our recruitment and things throughout the last close season, was to try and emulate and get back to that. Again, with the injuries, with the retirements and the unavailabilities, we had to move in a slightly different direction, and one that I think suits the playing group that we've got and the playing personnel that we've got. And this isn't meant as a jab or things at what's gone on before, but I think the side that you saw beforehand revelled in the fact that they could physically intimidate and physically impose themselves on the game and on opposition, and definitely played that way and revelled in it, as I said. And I think this generation of players and this playing group that we're seeing slowly starting to emerge, particularly in the back end of the season, can play. They're very, very talented. They love to be high tempo. They love to shift the ball and move.
It's more technical play.
And I think I think we showed in games in the back end of the season that we could do that. And we could blow opposition away, and we had some pretty good performances. But I think it's just moulding that and making sure that we get experienced characters in and around to help support that. Gareth's been hard at work behind the scenes and being able to recruit personnel for next year, which he's done very well. And there's a number of players that will come in that will help facilitate that style of rugby and help grow this group of young players and get them to understand and harness what they have and make it a little bit more consistent.
That makes sense. Yeah, is there going to be a lot of changes, at least in the coaching staff? I don't
believe so. No, look, I think it's there'll be certain additions. People's roles will probably change slightly, but I believe it'll be the same faces that we've grown accustomed to over this last year, and I think that's an important thing. I think we've had a lot of change. I think I've been the only consistent probably in the last three seasons. We've chopped and changed with different forwards coaches, player coaches, and things. I think it's right on time that we need some solid consistency. Because again, if you look at the team that's just taken it off, or taken out the championship, I should say, in The Hague, they've had 4 years of consistency. They've built around a solid playing group and solid coaching group that's remained the same, and they were able to reap the benefits of that in the last 2 seasons. So that's an important thing for us.
Cool. Again, then a challenging task for next year. It has been an interesting year. We indeed managed to get into the top 4, so we played our semi-finals. That's the aim to start with. I think the aim next year is going to be slightly higher.
Well, listen, I think no one ever starts the season and go, listen, we want to come second.
No.
So everyone obviously starts out with the ambition of becoming champions, and I think like we always talk about, the most important thing is being in the mix and getting there first. And if we can continue to do that, and like I said, consistency is key. If you look at now 3 seasons since we won the title, we've been top 4, which shows growth. If you look at the 3 seasons before we won the title, it was a little bit of a bolt from the blue because we finished 6th. There was a 9th place, and then the 3rd season before that, we were in the Eerste class.
Wow. Okay, it's not even that long. No.
It's not even that long. So we are relatively young in being a top 4 club and relatively inexperienced, and it's something that we've got to continue to do and continue to push and strive towards. And if we can continue to do that, then the club is going to continue to be in a good place.
Lovely. Well, we know you're not moving because you're married here. So all the best and thanks for the season.
No, thank you,
Take
mate.
care.